Hello everybody and welcome back to another OS Talk. My name is Zetrot and today we are going to go over the Taiko World Cup and all things Taiko. We have a great group of guests with us today and I'm going to introduce them. First off, we have from the land down under and very early in the morning for him, Jai. How you doing, man?
Dude, I am doing great, thank you. And you?
I'm doing fantastic. A little bit under the weather, but not going to let me stop talking about a game that was absolutely crazy this season for Taiko. I am ready to get into this. Outside of Jai, we also have Magnemizer with us as well, and some of you might know him. He took place in the Hong Kong team, very good, and a very skilled commentator on our team. How you doing, Magnemizer?
I'm doing pretty good as well. It's like 8 p.m. over here, so yeah, I'm wide awake, ready to share my opinions and thoughts on, well, pretty much what went on in the past couple weeks.
Yeah, it was a pretty hectic week, couple weeks, going from group stage all the way to the finals. Kind of a determined outlook, you know, as we had people memeing it from the very beginning, congrats Japan, but, you know, it is what it is. It kind of went down like that. But we also have a few other guests with us as well. We have someone who's quite active in the Taiko community, helps around where he can, and just overall pretty fun guy to speak with and has a lot of insight on the map pools and just how things went down in general. We're also joined with Ryden. How are you doing, man?
Hello, Zitrata. I'm doing pretty good. And it's feels really great to participate in an OS talk like this.
Are you ready to talk about these drums?
Of course I am.
All right. And I saved the absolute best for last, guys. So we managed. We had to beat down doors, yell at people, and scream for a long time. I'm over-exaggerating, obviously, but we did manage to get one of our map pool selectors for the Taiko World Cup, Onosaki Hito, with us, longtime friend of myself, been around since the old days. Really glad to have you here. Ono, how you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing fantastic, and I'm really happy to be here.
All right. Are you ready for the mixed emotions that are probably going to come when we get to the map pool talk, right?
Oh man, I'm so ready to get burned down.
It's going to be ridiculous. That much is for sure. Now, with all introductions out of the way, I feel our first talking point should be the World Cup as a whole. We could kind of just go over it, give our personal opinions on it, and just kind of converse. We had a pretty crazy one here from group stage all the way to finals week 2. Things went absolutely nuts. What were some of the highlights for you guys in general? And however you want to take that, feel free. We also have our lovely streamer, Deadbeat, here as well. I almost forgot to mention Deadbeat as he's manning the stream, making sure everything's nice and pretty here. I'm not sure if he'll actually be able to converse too much, but definitely show Deadbeat some love, guys. And then there was no Deadbeat love. Okay.
We love him.
All right, there we go. Okay, so let's talk about the round of 16. There were a lot of sweeping matches, but there were some that weren't too crazy. What were your guys, in just a few words, if you want to, what were some of the greatest matches you saw during the round of 16?
There were quite a few close matches during the round of 16. Some of the matches turned out quite unexpectedly, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them were 5-2.
Yeah,
but
I honestly expected the match between France and USA to be a lot closer. Regardless, that was still a very close match. I mean, France were pretty much neck and neck with USA, but USA managed to edge them out a bit. But yeah, that ended them 5-2. And there was the match with Indonesia and Australia won that match. Jai, would you want to offer your insight onto that particular match?
To be honest, I'm sort of with you on the France and USA match. I feel like it could have been a lot closer. It's very interesting. The round of 16 had some good potential matches to be closer, but I just feel that a lot of teams, just with the step up in map pool difficulty, I reckon, just found it a lot more difficult to keep up. So, you know, round of 16 was interesting to watch, but at the same time, I feel like it could have been a lot closer in several matches.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the brackets as a whole, and you guys can definitely check this out with us as well. I do believe it's been posted up already. If you look at the wiki thread for the Taiko World Cup, you can see the match brackets, and I'm not sure if they have the results connected to them, but I'm pretty sure MP links are available. One match that I was a little bit sad about really was the Brazil versus South Korea match in the round of 16. I really thought Brazil was going to be able to get more than 1 point. I know South Korea is strong, don't get me wrong. They have really good players and their consistency is just up there. But like, I had hope for the Brazil boys. I figured that the speed would overcome and they'd be able to manage a couple points, but it went 5-1, and that was unfortunate for the round of 16. I feel like you said, there's a lot of potential in matches, but we didn't see them actually hit that potential. A lot of these matches, like Taiwan, Poland 5-0, Germany, Malaysia 5-2, like you guys said, the United States versus France, that went 5-2, but it was a really close 5-2, and it's hard to really say that because, you know, concrete numbers at the end of the day are going to be what people worry about more than how close it was. But if you did manage to be able to watch it live with all of us, it was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, actually, I would like to say something about this because to come back to the question about what our highlight was. I mean, of course, in some kind of way, one might say it is somewhat a sweep when you look at the scores. But as you said, the people have played so incredible good the map pools. I mean, the round of 16 had beat maps we never had before in the World Cup. You have to think about this with a lot of SV changes, slider velocity changes, and 160 patterns, and that these people managed it to play all these beat maps so well is really one of my personal highlights, which I'm really glad, which I was really glad to see.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been a lot of controversy over the Taiko World Cup due to the fact that last year it was way too easy, and I'm pretty sure everyone agrees with that. And this year you guys tried to ramp it up. There was also a few other new things like Score V2 taking over a mechanic for it as well, and it kind of went off a little bit rocky. But the real question is if you put this data up to last year's data, does it really change as much as everybody thought it did? And I have yet to actually do that. I wonder if Deadbeat or anybody's decided to look that over. But
I had a quick look at group stage, and last year it was something like about, I think it was 6 or 7 matches that didn't end up in a sweep. But this year we saw like 19 out of 22 matches ending up 4-0 or something. Yeah. Like I think only 3 matches or so ended up with like a non-sweep score. Yeah. So I think that's also partly attributed. I think it's mostly attributed to Score V2 actually.
Yeah.
Where chokes don't matter as much, and teams that are genuinely more consistent.
Not to mention, I mean, like, you also have to take into consideration that that's another reason why we're not kind of covering group stage in the talking, and that's why we're going right to the round of 16. Is this year's group stage, like, yeah, we could go into the matches on detail Twitch chat, but it'd literally be sweep.
Yeah, I was about to say, just confirming that group stage had 4 matches which were not sweeps. Only 4.
So it was pretty decisive in the group stage, which I feel like that is one thing when we get to the giant rant about the map pools. That's gonna be one of the things where I seem like a douchebag because I'm gonna blast Ono for ridiculously hard group stage. But that being said, like, round of 16 went off. It was whatever. But the semifinals loser bracket is where things kind of got more interesting, in my opinion. We had, that's the one that got the most interesting, because you see, we had the South Korea versus France match, and I literally thought France had that for some time towards the beginning of it, and they just broke away at the 3 mark and got the 6 points. And then Australia versus Chile kind of had the same mentality there. It went neck and neck all the way up to the 3 mark, and then they just broke away. And then for the semifinals losers bracket, we only actually had 2 sweeps, being from Hong Kong and Poland and Germany and Spain. And that was pretty,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I kind of expected it, but the Australia versus Chile match and the South Korea versus France match, if you guys are looking for exciting matches where we all scream like idiots, definitely look for any of them that go like half and full. Those are the really exciting ones if you've got the video on demand. And then moving from then, unless anybody has anything to say about the semifinals bracket, is there anything
Yes,
else?
I want to give an excuse for Spain against Germany on semifinals.
Go
An
for it.
excuse.
We were 1 player down. Okay,
Which player were you missing?
Alvaro.
Oh, yeah. That.
I can
Literally-
make a similar excuse for Australia.
Literally, our top 2 was missing. So
Yeah, Goosticks, in the future, we might actually set up a Discord overlay. That way you can tell who's talking. But this lovely voice is Z-Trot, who's been talking along with me a lot. Onosaki's the deeper German accent. Magnemizer is the lighter speaking individual. Raiden has an accent as well. It's a little bit lighter than Ono's. Ono's is pretty heavy here. And then Jai's our lovely Australian.
Those were very descriptive, Z-Trot.
What do you mean descriptive? Like, I was
yeah,
just,
thank you.
I was being honest. Like, that's the best way I
Lighter
can-
voice.
Yeah. You can tell who's got the heavier voice and the lighter voice, you know? Like, Magnemize is on the light end while Onosaki's on the
Well, if you want, I
Um,
can as well just speak like a Slavic guy.
Okay, let's be real. The Overlord Discord thing, the overlay Discord thingy was promised since the first OS talk. Not true. The first OS talk was done over Ventrilo, if I'm not mistaken. And if not Ventrilo, it was definitely done over it was done over TeamSpeak. No, the main reason why we don't use it is it flickers a lot, and we haven't really figured out how to fix the flicker. And it's not like we want to be using all that. Are these going to be on the OS Academy YouTube anytime soon? That is a good question. And I feel like we probably should still be putting these on YouTube as well, but we do have them on live stream. Well, I mean Twitch live stream. Nobody uses that. We do have it on Twitch, so you are able to view that, but we'll probably make the effort of moving these over as well. Okay, so with
I do feel like that, and sorry to interrupt
Oh,
there,
you're
but
good,
I do feel like a lot of matches in semifinals did reach like quite a bit of potential. I mean, like not just France against South Korea and Chile versus Australia. I mean, we had Taiwan versus the United States. I mean, Taiwan was an incredibly strong team, and like the US played their cards really well, and they managed to take 2 points off Taiwan. I mean, like Taiwan's I think we can all agree that Taiwan's an incredibly strong team.
Mhm.
Like this year, they have to have some monstrous players, and yeah, I mean the US were able to take a couple points off Taiwan, which was really impressive in my opinion. Like I honestly thought that they wouldn't be able to take a single point. Although there was a match between Canada and Japan, and I really hoped that Canada could take a point from Japan, but that sadly never happened.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, they got it was pretty rough battle for them.
I mean,
And
if I'm not mistaken, in the last TVC, Canada has actually managed to get 1 point from Japan, and everyone was like really hyped, and they just tried it this year as well, but unfortunately it didn't happen at all. I mean, the midfields were pretty rough anyway, and Japan is a really strong team, if not the strongest team in the TVC. So yeah, it's a really hard thing to manage.
Very much so. And we did see in the semifinals losers bracket, South Korea got squashed out by Hong Kong 6-2, and then Germany just decimated Chile 6-1, and that's just kind of how things went down. And then we see as we move closer to the end, everything gets a little bit more concrete. which is unfortunate. Final week one losers bracket was literally the best match that we had, in my opinion, in terms of like stake wise, because finals week one winner bracket, it went 6-0 to Japan. Japan moved forward, and then the US got completely decimated by Hong Kong, and Canada completely decimated Germany, and that's what got us to like. And it's crazy. The finals week one losers part two was literally the best match in my opinion. Hong Kong versus Canada. It went neck and neck, and there were a lot of situations where it could have went either way, but Hong Kong managed to get that 2 points over Canada and did secure that victory. How did that make you feel, Magnemizer?
It was really intense, and like throughout the match, I was literally watching Twitch stream. I was pretty much praying for my teammates to do well, and like, I mean, for the first 3 points, we won our own pick. So Canada went first, they won, then we went, and it went all the way to 3-all, and then we had a lot of strategies in place, like hoping they would fall into our trap of picking maps that we prepared extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually they did go for one of the maps that we did prepare well, and then we won a break point. We were quite worried that we would lose our own pick.
Dude, I'm gonna level with you, Magnemizer. Fudgy King was able to pull off a Hard Rock score in that map. You guys might not have won that. And
Yeah.
It literally went down to that. And I don't mean to like sit there and blast on Fudgy King. Obviously, he had the reason why he took Nomad. He probably felt more comfortable in being able to full combo that, and that's cool. That's fine. But like, the scores were so close that if he
The
was
stakes
able
were so high.
yeah,
The stakes
if
were
he-
so high.
yeah, if he was able to perform at that level, that would have been crazy. You guys would have probably seen tiebreaker, and I don't know how the tiebreaker would have went. I feel like I do remember talking to Tasha a little bit, and I do remember they said that they were worried about the tiebreaker. They had to beat you guys before they went to tiebreaker, so I feel like that might not have sealed the deal, but if it would have took you guys to tiebreaker, it would have been crazy.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate actually, I find. Like throughout many of the stages, we didn't see too many tiebreaker matches actually. We saw, I believe the last time there was a tiebreaker was in quarterfinals, I believe, in the match between Poland and Malaysia, and that was a good match. That was an amazing match. And I don't think we should have glossed over that. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, we've only got an hour, so I didn't want to recap
Fair.
too much. We're
Fair.
like, yeah. But anyways, so the rest of the match, after the really intense Hong Kong versus Canada match, you guys went up against Taiwan. Unfortunately, I wasn't there to see what happened. But
We
what
got destroyed.
happened? What
We got
happened,
destroyed.
man?
So,
Simply put.
okay, but simply put, like, Taiwan's, like, I'd say Hong Kong and Canada are, like, on fairly even footing. Like, they're about the same level, and Taiwan's, like, a whole step above Hong Kong, and Japan's, like, you know, over, like, in the next country or something. Like, we tried, like, we knew we couldn't win. Taiwan had some monstrous players. Like, they had at least 3 players who could, like, full combo every single map, in my opinion. And we just couldn't beat them on a lot of picks. I mean, they're like, in terms of skill wise, I'd say Taiwan completely overshadows Hong Kong. Like, Hong Kong's good at speed, we're good at like technical stuff, but Taiwan just does it better. I feel that if Canada were to go against Taiwan, they would have a better chance because Canada's more suited to do like free mod and mod picks. They're certainly much more confident in those things. So yeah, so I feel like Hong Kong versus Taiwan was pretty much a lost cause because we were just completely overshadowed by their superior skill. We came close on a couple points though, I have to say, but not quite enough.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, some of your scores were really, really close to Taiwan, so I wouldn't really say that you got overshadowed by them. It's rather, unfortunate that you didn't got any point, but when you look, I mean, there are just some differences of 20,000 points, and that's like, nothing, and this happened like 3 times in the match, and this could have been 1 point at least, and kind of turn it in your favor, you know. So there's that.
Very true. Now that's going to bring us on to our group discussion about the World Cup as a whole. As we get to the last results, as you could probably guess, Taiwan moved up, went up against Japan, got decimated 0-6 in favor of Japan. But in the final match, they did manage to get 1 point on Japan, which it was probably bragging rights all day. But Japan were our 2017 Taiko World Cup champions, and I don't want to downplay that at all, because obviously they're amazing, but it's just like, did anyone have any doubts at any point in time?
Well,
Not
actually,
particularly.
Actually, I had my doubts because I thought when we were making the pools that Japan will actually miss on some of them, which would give the opportunity to other teams to gain actually 1 point. But somehow this didn't went really well.
No, not at all. And that brings me up to the group discussion. The thoughts on this World Cup, just 2017 in particular as a whole, like what things were good, what things are bad, what do we need to keep, what do we need to work on? And these are questions that we really need to ask, you know, because obviously you can see that there has been community outcry that some people felt that it was not fair. I wouldn't say that it wasn't fair. I just think it played by a set of rules that nobody was used to, and, you know, complaining is just going to happen when that type of stuff comes out. But one thing that bothers me is I just notice that, like, a lot of these, like, okay, say for example, Taiwan, Hong Kong managed to beat Canada just barely, then just to be floored by Taiwan is just crazy.
Yeah, there's a very huge difference in skill between like Taiwan and the rest of the countries, and Japan and Taiwan. There's another like even larger gap between them, I would say.
And what are some things that we could possibly do, like brainstorm here, guys? What are some things we could do to try to offset that a little bit? Maybe work it out in the future. Mind you, this is speculation talk. We're not just sitting here. We're going to counsel up a group of Taiko people and make new rules. No, but like, what are some things you guys think that we could do to try to make this better? Is it something that needs to be handled better at group stage to kind of allow for more intense matches? Or is it something near towards the end that we need to adjust? Like, what kind of things would you guys like to see that might improve the Taiko World Cup?
If you don't mind, I would just break the ice by saying that actually I wouldn't know what to do about these cases, because the skill gap between the teams is so immensely huge. It's really hard to figure out what to do against this. I mean, maybe you can somehow make another system, or maybe, you know, fix the score V2 system a little bit so it's some kindly in favor of other teams, but you know that would be kind of unfair. And yeah, I just think it's really hard to actually do something against it because of this huge skill difference. I mean, Japan, you have a team with the first up to 6 best players in the world Taiko community being in one team, and I think there is not that much you can do against such a constellation.
Yeah, it makes it really top heavy. I'll agree with you on. And one of the things that the Twitch chat brought up that's a very good point is harder map pools make weaker teams weaker. And like, yeah, I understand that we want to set it up to an extent, but if we have map pools that are more centralized around a basic skill level, then perfection is like, Score V2 already asks for perfection, and I think that's what really hit a bad note with a lot of people, in my opinion. That the map pools were so ridiculously hard, and then accuracy meant everything in this cup, which you know, and well, no, it didn't mean everything, because combo completely got nerfed out. So, like, the initial way that we play maps and watch them in the Taiko World Cup is you're trying to see who's holding the highest combo that's going to help them carry their team further. That's no longer the case. Now drops don't matter as much, and accuracy is the only thing that matters. But when you take these, you're not going to get close fights when you have these higher end map pools, and like you said, these lower end teams are going to come into this and they're going to be weaker than the highest team, because I feel like personally, you could scale that thing to 11, Ono, and you're still not going to break Japan.
Yeah, we kind of noticed this.
I feel that some of the
Um,
matches could have been a lot closer with Score v1, to be honest. I mean, while, like, I'll just, like, make a complete, like, I don't know, complete guess here, but I'm just gonna say that some of the Taiwan players are really good at holding combo, but not so good in the accuracy department, which is what really let them down. For example, you have players like Ishida, who can hold amazing combo throughout an entire map, but just hover at 95% accuracy, and that really hurts their score. So maybe that's why they didn't do as well against Japan as they possibly could have done with Score v1.
Yeah, and I agree with that on some points, and I like the idea of Score v2. Like, I'm not saying that it's horrible, but in the aspect, if you're looking for actual competitive gameplay, like, if you take that high end, which at this point I've yet to see a cap for Japan. I'm not just trying to say they're too good, but they kind of are. And you take the highest point and you're trying to break them up using the new score metrics, so you're setting map pools to all that kind of situations. That's fine and dandy if you can manage to break Japan, but what that does on that latter end is then you have all these other teams that have specialized in certain aspects and things like that. Like, I'm not saying that for a gameplay standing it wasn't a bad tournament. It followed its rules, it stuck to the rules, and Japan was the clear winner. That's going to happen. But if you want to make an exciting and fair tournament, maybe you need, I feel like we definitely need to like set map pools a little bit more and get some testing into them. As much as I know it takes a long time to set up a map pool. I'm not sitting here and saying that it's something that you could easily just throw together. But being able to test those around, and I know the problem in that lies, like, you can't just have anybody testing it, because what if they're taking part in the tournament? Then you've run into a whole another set of problems that's going to be really ridiculous to clean up.
Well, the thing is, I mean, beside the point that I can't play these speed maps, it's also a problem about finding actually players and mappers or people who actually want to make these map pools. I mean, as you said, there's a lot of stuff you have to do about this, and most of the people are either not interested, or those who are interested are actually playing in the Taiko World Cup, and then, yeah, you know, you're really struggling to find people who can actually and are interested to choose these speed maps and can actually play them as well. And as for the difficulty, I mean, it was also our fault that we took it that far with the difficulty, and it's also one of the reasons why we were not able to play it anymore, especially me. I mean, I am an old stone from a TBC1 time. The beat maps were like 3 or 4 stars hard, so yeah, there's that, you know.
All right, yeah, I can understand that. But I mean, at the end of the day, I still feel that the Taiko World Cup 2017 did what it was supposed to do. And all we can do moving forward is try to make sure that it's more centralized and fair. Like, I don't understand why we should, like, with the map pools, this is just my opinion, guys. Mind you that Twitch chat, none of this is actually happening. This is just discussion, of course. But my idea is we should take all the stats from the group stage, like, let you make a group stage out, let them play the group stage, take all the stats from that, and then build the map pools off that, and build each week, you know, with the data that we get from the players, so we know where they're struggling at, what they're doing at, and we know where we can push them harder. And I feel like that would create a more competitive environment in terms. I mean, we're still probably going to have the same winners at the end of the day. I'm not saying that that's going to change. But it definitely could make things more exciting, because one of my favorite things about the Catch World Cup, which we will be talking about near the end of this, guys, is, like, it's neck and neck. And even though you've got really great players, you're not always sure. You're not always sure what is going to, who's going to win. I mean, you have predictions, but there's that chaotic level of you have no idea what's going on. And I think that's all the Taiko World Cup really needs, and it'd be fine.
Can I just quickly add some comments about
For
Taiko
sure,
World
man,
Cup in general? I noticed that a lot of people were like kind of upset about like the map pools like being like way too hard, and it's like, oh, it's totally favoring Japan, right? But I'd also like to point out that Japan had a much stronger team this year compared to any of the prior years. In the past, they used to have like two or three of the top players, and then they just recruit some random Japanese people in like the top 50 country or something. Like that's what the roster used to be. And with easy map pools, they still were able to like do rather well. But I mean, like last year, I think Taiwan managed to get 2 points off them. This year, all the other countries became much stronger, but Japan just went overboard and they just took their top 6 players. And I feel like people are attributing this, like basically Japan's overpoweredness, if you will, to the map pool, whereas the reality is Japan's literally sending their best players in, like regardless of what the map pool is, regardless of what was going to happen, Japan was pretty much set to win.
Yeah, Magnus, I agree with you. I feel like no matter what you did to the map pool, it wasn't going to change the outcome because, like I said, all this talking about map pools and changing algorithms and set to it, it's not going to change who the winner is at the end of the day. It might just make it more exciting. Like, I feel... Go ahead.
Yeah, and the second thing I would like to add is that as a result of the map pool being much harder, teams for the first time in many years had to strategize the way they played, like properly strategize. Like I can speak on behalf of the Hong Kong team that we, like when we were playing semifinals, finals, we had to delegate roles. Before we even played any of the maps, we were pretty much like, okay, you're playing this, you're not playing this, that sort of stuff. And I think this strategy, this like level of communication between teams is, well, not between teams, within teams, is what I think it's really exciting. I think this was one of the highlights of this this year's TWC. I think that was one thing that I think the map pool selectors were trying to aim for, and I think they managed to do exceptionally well in that regard. That's just want to say, like, teams that were really challenged, and I think like it was really intense. Yeah,
that was actually the idea with the map pools, that people, I mean, you have to think in this way. In the past, this was exactly what happened when the people or the players were not that good when playing. They had really to think about what they're gonna choose, what they're gonna play, what maps against which team they are gonna use, and we lost this kind of experience in the past World Cups from World Cup 3 up to last year. I think we lost this completely, and people kinda, or the players kinda, that's my opinion of course, took it as granted that the map pools are kind of easy or normal, that everyone can somehow go through it, especially the group stage. But that was actually something we wanted to prevent this year. Of course, we went completely overboard with this because the map pool, I mean, you have to, in my opinion, the real problem isn't the difficulty itself. I think the real problem was rather the transition from the past TVC to this year. Because if you think about it, from World Cup 1 up to last year, the map pools were kind of similar, and the skills of the players have gotten better and better till the map pools were very easy to them. And to somehow prevent this, we tried to make it harder, but went absolutely overboard. That made people just wonder what is happening, and the transition was just too fast. And if the map would be a little bit easier, I think people would be way more
accepting.
Accepting these map pools.
I don't think it's so much the map pools in their entirety. I just think like group stage is probably where it needs to be fine-tuned the most. Like the round of 16 was hard, but it's not something I felt like, oh wait, that's crazy. Now finals week 1, the finals pool was a little bit holy crap, but I expect that in a finals pool. It's not something that's just out of the mind for me. With that being said, though, I do believe we've kind of touched on the World Cup and the map pools and stuff quite a while. So now we're going to be going over to Ryden, as we've got about 20 minutes left, guys. And Ryden is going to be helping us talk about some of the community events that you might not know are actually going on for Taiko. So if you're still interested in Taiko and there's just not anything you think's going around, trust me, there is. There's always something going around. So Ryden, would you mind going into a little bit of detail on some of the things that are going around in the community for Taiko?
Okay, yeah, sure. For starters, we got this dual tournament that's going to take place for this week of April and the entirety of May. That is the 2v2 tournament, which I will be personally streaming and commentating and playing as well. And probably right after that, we'll have the LMS tournament. And I think that's about it. The tournaments. I have no information. I have no further information regarding that. And when it comes to mapping and stuff like that, this is another talking point, but I'll mention it anyways. The Aspire contest for Taiko is coming up real soon. I do remember talking with Onosaki Hito before Christmas that we should be doing a normal MBC for Taiko.
Mm-hmm.
And we should definitely do it after Mania's done with theirs. And another interesting event is probably the second cycle of the mentorship program, which should be running on mid-June, probably. Yeah, mid-June or something like that.
Yeah, and to give a little bit of context to what Ryden's going on about, LMS is Last Man Standing. It's a Taiko tournament that's been going on for quite some time. I think you guys have been running for about 3-4 years.
It's LMS4. The
LMS4?
next year is going to be, the next one's going to be LMS4, so presumably 3 years now.
All right, yeah, and wasn't that started by, and I know I'm probably going to get flacked, but wasn't that started by Backfire at some point?
Well, technically, he didn't.
He helped a lot with the first one, right?
Yeah, I mean, he did take the idea from a Polish guy. I don't remember his name.
It was from Accurate and
Yes.
from Dane. Those were the guys who initialized the LMS.
And he just kind of ran with it, right?
Well, he was the map selector, and then later the guys kind of went proof, I guess. I mean, Accurate and Dane didn't have time, so he just overtook it. I mean, which was a really nice thing to do.
Very much so. And
Yeah.
so Taiko LMS has been around quite some time. The dual tournament that you're talking about is a new thing, right?
Yes, it is definitely a new thing.
So that is a new tournament, and I'm guessing that's 2v2 versus. So if you're interested in 2v2 versus, definitely check out the Gameplay Tournaments sub-forum and check that out. Maybe enter, and possibly you might be one of the best later on going down.
Technically, the registrations are closed because.
Oh, okay, they're closed. So all you can do is watch. Just watch, guys.
I mean, we are a bit late.
What I find
it's
interesting
okay.
about that, what I find interesting about the dual tournament is they actually tried to implement a way that sort of keeps teams, like it stops super high level teams from being created to sort of balance it out.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was an interesting thing.
Yeah. To be exact, they made a rule that states if the average the two members of the team cannot have more than 8,000 PP. It's kind of a rough measure, but I guess
It makes sense. I mean, I could understand why they're doing it.
To be honest, I feel like they should have put a cap on the total PP as well. Because, I mean, you could literally have a team with U68 and then some other person with 7,900 PP. And it would make a pretty broken team compared to...
Which is pretty much what's happening with one team that has Applers and San Antonio.
Oh god.
Oh, God.
Oh god, that's a monstrous team.
DDKK Warriors.
Yeah, actually, the team's name is KKDD Master Race
Oh, of course.
because every team has a name.
I can see them going very far.
No, that's going to be interesting. Now, Ryden, is that going to be fully streamed, or is there only going to be select matches streamed? Do you know any information on that?
Yes, of course. Since I'm one of the streamers and caster, I have some info. But first of all, the group stage was not supposed to be streamed, but we are going to stream some matches. And starting on round of 32, because that goes first before round 16, all of the matches should be streamed. They should be streamed. I'm not very sure about that. I guess we'll have to wait to the host.
Well, that's good to know, though. So that is another community tournament that's going on. As we're getting closer and closer to our end of our lovely talk, and I do love these talks, guys. I love being able to talk with you and have fun. There is one thing that I don't feel like we could dedicate much time to this, but let's go ahead and try anyways.
Is it?
Talk the whole day about Taiko if you want me to.
Oh,
Yes.
I
yes.
understand that, but
A passionate Taiko.
we've got 1 hour, so I think
Let's
it's
get on it.
mascot talk time, guys.
Oh God.
Okay. So obviously not everybody knows, but there was a mascot selection for Taiko that went on, and it did get a community vote, and it also got a staff vote as well. And I think we're just kind of waiting on it. But I mean, Taiko community's kind of adopted its own mascot now at this point. And I'm just, I got to talk about Taikonator. He is love, he is life. So even if we do get a new mascot, which is probably still going to happen, I can't say that it's going to happen for sure. I think for as long as time now, Taikonator 3000 is probably going to be the unofficial official mascot of Taiko. And I mean, I could totally understand why. It's great.
Ingenious. It's genius. It's pure genius.
It's gonna, dude. I can just see it now. We're gonna get like fan art contests to like doing mascots, and he's just gonna be in the back with like a shadow looking sad because he's not like actually a mascot. But
I mean,
original.
we recently had a lot of we recently had that spring art contest or something,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
quite a few of the entries.
have the Taikonator.
Yeah, quite a few of those entries have them like a Taikonator. Sometimes it's quite obvious.
Yeah,
Sometimes
it
not
was,
so much.
And
it
it's
was
Easter
designed
eggs.
for Halloween.
yeah, not only that, didn't they have they had like a Taikonator sizzle reel on YouTube. Somebody showed me that. It was pretty funny.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, Jai, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about. They came in and ASMR and talked into your ear, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna play 600 BPM like it's not even." It was good. I like that, and I love seeing stuff like that in the community and just showing love for some of the creations that have been made, and that's great. As far as the mascot goes, I do believe that there's been a couple drafts done. Like, a lot of that's red tape, guys. I don't know exactly what I can and what I can't say, so I tend not to say too much at all because I don't want to get like smacked in the face and then thrown in the dungeon and told no food for you, Citron. You can't eat tonight.
Yes. Spread that information.
Yeah.
Is it going to be the winner of the contest but with massive drum fists?
Make it happen.
Or
I
imagine,
don't
okay,
know.
the winner of the contest, the one drawn by JMC, has a little Taiko, the Pippidon, on her waist. So instead of like a Pippidon, we could have like the Taikonator on her waist. That'd be perfect. I think that'd be perfect. Like, you can have the winner and the unofficial winner of the contest.
Yeah,
at
like
the
put a
same
little
event.
keychain down there at the bottom. You have a Taikonator keychain. That would be like the best way to do it, in my opinion. Like, just show him some love. I mean, because
Why-
it's a very thought out character. Like,
Why not just replace the face with Taikonator's face?
Yeah,
Then you
just-
get the
just
best of both
repre-
worlds.
Just replace the entire face. Just
God.
replace the entire entry with Taikonator.
No, I'm serious. Like, the winning entry, the one drawn by JMC, like, has the Pippidon, like a small plushie on her waist.
Yeah.
So you could just replace that with Taikonator, and it'd be perfectly fine. I mean, obviously the colors would need to match and stuff.
Yeah.
You'd need to
But-
draw. like redraw it a bit. But I think that'd be a great idea.
Like when I was doing the original draft of Yuzu, when I decided to make him for Catch the Beat, I wanted to keep a headband on him, you know, to kind of give like a shout out to Ryuta, but I was told that that's not going to work, which was unfortunate. I mean, I do have a couple old drafts of him where he was set up more like his original Catch counterpart, and then it kind of went more towards the modernized Pippi look at the end of it. My original drafts weren't good enough, so they had Daru help me out and go over all my line work and reset it to be more like with the theme of the game. And I feel like that's Taiko Nader's kryptonite right now. He doesn't fit with the theme. It's like, okay, schoolgirl, schoolboy, gigantic machine that beats on drums.
You know what to pick.
Oh, of course. Oh, and we can't forget Maria, you know, keyboard chick that looks like a mom. I just call her Key Mom.
That's nice.
Yeah.
But
She's
remember,
to
Taiko
be
doesn't
honest,
follow the rules.
to be honest, I would like to see another mascot after all, because as you said, I mean, Taikonator is really cool. I have to admit it. At the beginning, I wasn't sure about him, but after that, I got used to him. But that's the key word. You got used to him.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't, in my opinion at least, it's not like it is like this, but it's just my opinion. I think that he doesn't fit into the team really well, and
No, it's
also, you know,
unless they ride him like a giant machine and they can turn into a transformer and turn into their car,
oh no,
then it would be it'd be perfect.
Saying
yeah,
that though, like, not to take anything away from like the artists and everything, because their work is great, but I feel
Yeah.
like the winning choices just like when you think of Taiko, you think like of these massive drums and these massive drumsticks and like all the passion and energy that goes into it. And when you look at the entrance, we sort of just get like skinny people with batons.
Yeah,
I feel like
Yeah, I have to agree there. Why
Like-
didn't we get the buff guy?
Before we decided, like, let me kind of talk about that for a second, because I can say this because I was working on it and I was never told I couldn't say that. Before we did the before we did the contest for the artwork on Taiko, me and Daru had drafted up a couple ideas. His idea was basically kind of like, dude, I'm gonna get hit for cringe right here, but anybody remember Naruto when he was in Sage mode and he had the big cape thing? Yeah, I know, cringe, but that's the closest thing I could think of, because he had like a giant cloak, 2 big ass drumsticks, and he looked cool at first, and then like 2 days later, Daru revised him and he looked like a little child. And I was like, why? Why? This dude looked awesome. He looked like a JoJo, but with like massive drums, and well, not massive drums, but sticks on his back, and then had the little sweatband tied on his forehead, and it looked better. It looked better than what he ended up going with, because what he ended up going with, no one liked.
I actually remember this one. I mean, in the past, I
You
had
called him
also-
Daiko, remember?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's also the reason why I called my creation with Ani Daiko.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But-
that one was actually really cool, and I mean, it was a kid, but it had some kind of the Taikoish team and the
Yeah.
upgoing hairs, like being really crazy and going Son Goku like or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was really nice, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, it didn't go through the
Yeah.
process.
And I feel like we're gonna get poor Yuzu is gonna be the only male in our cast. It's looking like. So I would be okay with Taiko Nader, but yeah, if he could change into a car, that'd be perfect, because then all 3 of them has something to drive around in. And everything would be perfect.
they have an Ostjet to fly in, so I mean,
Yeah, no, Taiko Nader can turn into an Ostjet. You're not understanding the
Well,
applications of a giant machine.
Yeah.
It would be great.
Have you
Definitely.
even seen? Have you seen his 2 tailpipes in action?
That thing
Have
can
you even
process
seen-
everything.
All the greenhouse gases.
Of course, no, of course not.
Oh, he emits clean energy.
Yeah.
He doesn't
So-
look like he emits clean energy at all.
Didn't you see those solar panels?
Oh yeah, the tiny
They're-
solar panels with all the smog that comes out of his exhaust. Okay.
This reminds me actually of Mechadon, the Ada mascot from Taiko no Tatsujin,
Mhm.
where the drum is also just a robot and can transform into anything.
Huh.
Yeah.
Quite, yeah, similar ideas, huh?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, overall though, I feel like Taiko's got good things going on for it. Aspire, like Raiden said earlier, is also going to go on, and I do believe that Aspire is also going to be live streamed. So if you're ready to see, like, we've already seen how broken you can get standard mapping and still make it fun and amazing. I'm actually really curious on how much you could break Taiko, because I haven't played around with it in the editor that much, so I don't know all the tricks you can do. But resident mappers like Onosaki Hiro and Raiden should probably be able to tell us a little bit. I imagine Magnemizer and Jai's probably messed around in the editor as well. What kind of entries do you guys think we're going to see from Aspire with Taiko?
Actually, to be honest, I don't think we will see that much at all, because for one, we don't have many people who actually do such kind of stuff, and for the other part is that the editor we have right now for Taiko is very restrictive. I mean, we have stuff like Jiro, for example. It's another Taiko simulator where you can do much more things than our editor can bring up. Stuff like teleporting nodes or nodes which are coming from the backside and not only from one direction, and
Like
there are some things
omnidirectional.
or flying nodes, and we don't have this. We just have the straight go. How is it called?
Linear track. Linear track.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. You got to think about that. I didn't think we had pivoting axis sliders in standard. Like, how much do you, like, somebody might get in and break the crap out of it. Like, we know what the editor's done, but most of the people that created the Aspire maps for standard didn't use the editor. They used text. They did text edits. So I'm hoping maybe we'll see some really... I've seen some pretty creative Taiko maps, even with the limitations that we have today.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We even have one loft one, which is really exciting to play, with slider velocity changes and super hyper ninja nodes, which you can still read because of bar lines, and yeah.
To be honest, I'm hoping that someone, like, akin to what happens in standard Aspire, like someone uncovers this this gimmick that no one's heard of before.
That's what I'm hoping for too.
Yeah, someone just breaks editor more than it's already broken, and then
Am I allowed to throw out gimmick ideas?
I
to
guess
get
saying
people to
it's
start
already
testing?
broken.
and like notepad editing is a thing. I mean, I can imagine, like, with like a much larger player base, standard has seen a lot more experimentation. Maybe people just haven't explored enough into notepad mapping in Taiko, although I know people have looked into it, but like maybe they haven't explored the full potential of, you know, what could be achieved. Maybe you can achieve things that are truly mind-boggling, and hopefully we'll see that.
Yeah,
Actually,
not
I
only
can
that.
agree with that.
Yeah. I feel like that'll really bring things out. One other thing I want to touch base on before we get to the end here, as we are running out of delicious time. Yeah, we are getting pretty close to the end here. First off, I do want to thank everyone that came out. Jai, Ono, Magnemizer, Raiden, you guys have been great. I enjoyed talking about it. We kind of went a little heavy with the recap, but I feel like, hey, if you didn't know what happened in the Taiko World Cup, you should now.
Definitely.
And speaking of World Cups, we will be going through registrations for the CWC here soon. They are set to be in April. I'm guessing it's probably going to be near the end of April, as Loctav is kind of, I think he's on a vacation at the moment. Not like like a vacation at the moment. So I imagine that registration will start as soon as he gets back in. Keeping everything ready for that. And remember, guys, that the same as always, you'll be able to pick up banners for the CWC if you want to do that, if that's your thing. If it's not your thing, then just watch and enjoy. And if you like hearing lots of fruit puns, then definitely come to it. It's one of my favorite World Cups. It's the one where I get to be the most silly, so I do like to take part in that. And hopefully we'll see some of our other commentators with us as well. I kind of want to chain Magnemizer, like Twitch. Rule of hands here. Who all wants to chain Magnemizer to a desk and keep him for commentary all the time? If
Yep.
Twitch chat agrees with this, and the boys in here agree with this, we're going to have to get out the chains, and Magnemizer, you're not going anywhere.
I'm gonna
I
need to
agree.
change my username as well.
Mango.
Oh, dude, if you switch it to Mango Miser for the Catch World Cup, that's perfect. I'm going to just fruit pun all day.
Maybe I'll consider it.
Okay, well, we're getting some Twitch in, and they're saying, yeah, chaining you is a great idea, so I don't think you're going anywhere. That being said, guys, this has been the OS Talk for 4/19/2017. Thank you guys for showing up. We will have another OS Talk next week. This one's kind of big. I feel like Deadbeat probably wants to announce it, but he can't because stream thing. We got to get you a setup so you can talk with us, man. Maybe set it through your phone or something. That way we can have you conversing, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that you could have talked about with the mascots today, but you're kind of busy taking care of the stream and making sure everything works properly, which I cannot thank you enough for. So, that being said, I will go ahead and spill the beans and go over that, though. We are going to have talk next week. I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, because I could be wrong. We have Happy Stick. Oh, this weekend. Oh, is it this weekend? Oh, you're right. It is this weekend. Holy crap. Time flies. Yeah, so we're going to have Happy Stick, Doomsday, and there was one other. I'm forgetting. Juan. Yeah, I can't believe I forgot. Juan's in here. Yeah, so we're going to have Juan, Happy Stick, and Doomsday, all three together talking about community tournaments and all kinds of other really cool stuff as well. And it's going to be great. So, I hope that you guys show up for it this weekend. And remember, Rhythm's only a click away, and we'll see you next time.